And the b was our base, and then our exponent was x. And x is the number that we had to plug in like a -2 for, a -1, a 0, a 1, or a 2. So let's kind of refresh in the spot that says exponential form. Can you please write in this formula? And I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain everything to you. So, first of all, reminder that A is the y-intercept. V to the power of x minus h, this moves it, like if there's a number after x, plus or minus, that's going to move on the x-axis, so left or right. And because it's like in vertex form with our parabolas, that was in parentheses and it was the opposite sign, this is going to be the same thing. This k moves it up or down on the y-axis. So this hk is going to tell us how it moves. So we now have this, J-shaped curve or L-shaped, and it's going to be moving based on the h and the k. The h goes left or right. The k goes up or down. A is the y-intercept. So all of these features can help us figure out how to write an equation and then also how to graph it. Sorry, I'm going to turn it. It's easier. Okay. So now let's talk about the first few. I'm going to tell us to you after class. There's nothing after the x, okay? But this +1, that's my k. K means that it moves up or down. So, determine how the following graphs shift. So if this is called my parent function, just like the normal graph that we're used to seeing with the y-intercept of 1, then when it has a +1 at the end, it's going to shift up 1. That's all we're going to do. There's no number after the x, so it's not going to go left or right. That 1 is the only thing. I want to remind you on B that the x plus 1 is going to be the opposite sign. So I put it in parentheses right here to kind of like trigger your brain like, oh, the sign's going to be the opposite. Kevin, I'll see you. And so here we've got shifting 1 to the left. Even though it's a +1, it's going to go left or right, but it's +1 goes 1 to the left. And then C, just the 3 is what we're looking at. It's going to shift down 3. Because it's a -3. And K is the up and down. Yep.
So is that like the answer?
Yeah, these are the answers. Because the question is, how do the following graphs shift? So you're just describing how they're going to be changed.
Is that just going to be our lesson describing?
No, we have more. It depends on what we get to, On D, the x has a parentheses. So is that going to be my h or my k? Is that -3 my h or my k?
I'm not really sure.
Okay, well, look up at the top of your paper. What letter, h or k, is right next to the exponent? H. H goes left or right. It is a -3. So this is going to be my h.
Down.
but it's going to be opposite sign. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not up. Excuse me.
Down.
Right.
How'd you get right?
Because it's the opposite sign. It's not. The x minus h, that's the exponent, that is always going to be the opposite sign of what you see. E, we've got a lot going on for E. Tell me what's happening with the negative 4 and what's happening with the positive 5.
Negative 4 is the H, and then the 5 is the K.
Yep.
And then you're going to want to flip the negative 4. So it's going to be going up, or no, it's going to be going right 3, or 4.
And 5 means up or down.
Up. And you don't change the sign.
On 5, you're right, you do not. Well, we're going slow, and we have 9 of them to do, so. Okay, F. There's my H, there's my K. H always moves, remember? Left or right. K goes up or down.
Down.
All right, so on my negative 1, is that going to be, is it going to be?
It's going to be negative 1.
He just told
I just said it. Negative 1, which means to the left. What about my 3?
down.
That's all we're doing for this. Point out, please, that 3 is my y-intercept. A number 3 also means that it's skinny. Is there anything happening with an H or a K? So we're not going to do any movement. So a skinny parabola, we know what that looks like. But how about a skinny J-shaped? It's just going to be stretched. Skinny exponential graph is, the word skinny is another like way, like you're stretching it to make it longer. Okay, what about this negative 2 in front for H? What does negative mean? Downward. 2 means it's also going to be skinny, but it looks like this. Skinny like that, like stretched like that. On I, my 1/2 is my y-intercept. Is that skinny or fat? So it's going to be wide. Wide. Ooh, x minus 1. That's my H. 3 is my K. Tell me what's going to happen with my H and my K.
Right 3. No, left.
Right 1. 3 up.
And how does that look?
Well, here's the deal. This is my, I'll do in black my, like, normal. Okay, like that. So now if I'm going to shift, let's do a different color. If I'm going to go right 1 and 3 up, it's going to be like, three up and right 1. Totally messing it up.
We have time.
Like that. So we're shifting 1 up, right 1 and 3 up. Okay, so we'll probably just be able to do number 1 and that's it. So for number 1, this 2 to the x is your parent function. It looks all normal. I'll do it in black, I guess. My y-intercept is 1.
Can you zoom in? No, it's 2.
No, I can't because then the screen won't show everything.
How is your y-intercept 1?
Because the parent function always has a y-intercept of 1.
I'm a tad bit confused. This
1 times 2 to the x. A times b to the x, remember? So if there's no number in front of b, you assume it's a 1.
Where's the B in there?
The 2.
But in exponential form, you said that the a is a y-intercept.
Yeah, my y-intercept here is 1. There's like a number 1 here. Since there's no number, we say it's a 1.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so now that's my black parent function. Tell me what's happening with my h and my k. Here's my red. Let's do blue. X take away 1 minus 2. H, k. What's happening with my h and my k here?
Right 1 up 2 or down 2.
Okay, this is something I'm just going to give you. This is the table of values for a parent function. We graphed this one yesterday. So that table of values that I just made is my black parent function. So if I need to shift right 1 and down 2, every single dot is going to also shift right 1 and down 2. Right 1 down 2. Right 1 down 2. Right 1 down 2. This purple is this one right here. All I did is I followed my directions. I said to do right 1 down 2. So I had my black and I went to purple. Right 1, 1 to the right, down 2. So black became purple. My new y-intercept is negative 1.5 in purple. My horizontal asymptote is now this line right here, this y equals negative 2. It cannot go below this like imaginary fence line. So what I'm doing today is I'm taking graphs and I'm shifting them and moving them right a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit. That's what this lesson is. My domain is all real numbers. And my range is going to be that any number bigger than negative 2. Bigger than my horizontal asymptote. Bigger than my imaginary fence.
Isn't it?
Okay? This black table of values was what we did for number 1 on yesterday's lesson. Okay? Y equals 2 to the x. So, what I want you to do, let's stop for a second.